Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Board. We're so excited to have you. And we're excited about this episode, right, Vince? Episode number 4. And we have a special guest with us, Professor Lori Marie Huertas from Barry University, which will be discussing with us transformational leadership development. And I'm so excited for what is to come. This is our first guest appearance. And so, Vince, this is exciting times, isn't it?
Totally excited, Enrique. I mean, I'm just thrilled. I mean, talk about having the opportunity to talk about the foundation of leadership. So here we are getting a professor to bring us up to speed and to talk a little bit about what they got going on in and at Barry University. And a proud Army mom, so we got the full circle here. So super excited to hear from Lori and see what she brings to the table. So I mean, I just love to get folks to get to know who is Lori. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Lori.
Hi everyone. So born in New York, praying for my New Yorkers now, raised in Puerto Rico, and I lived in Orlando, which is the other Puerto Rico, which is where I actually met Vince. I have my master's degree in counseling psychology, where I was able to volunteer at different organizations, and that helped with PTSD, fell in love with veterans. Now I'm working on my PhD in human services at Walden in military families. And so my focus is military families. My goal is to write children's books that'll be available in the schools so that teachers know how to help children, military children that are coping with their parents being deployed or other of the challenges that military families endure. I have personal experience. I'm an Army mom. My son is an Army lieutenant, currently now in Fort Bragg, just became a grandma. And see, I have my grandson's little pants ready for when the coronavirus allows me to visit him. So I have an amazing son, a beautiful daughter-in-law and grandson that are near Fort Bragg right now. And so just grateful to be here, passionate about leadership and just helping our veterans.
Outstanding. That's so nice. Already equipped and getting ready to do the Army thing. That's wonderful. You know, that the transformational leadership thing that you do at Barry, coupled with the veteran, ingrained in your family, and Vince and I are veterans, right? And our heart goes out to all those that are serving right now on the front lines of this very epidemic. Mm-hmm. But what inspired you to go into the route that you did?
Yeah, so honestly, as soon as my son joined, I felt like, and my son signed for 20 years, my way to honor my son is helping other military family members and veterans. And so as soon as I joined Barry University, quickly became familiar with the different services that they offered for veterans that we could talk about later on, and wanted to see how possibly the concept of leadership could be helpful for veterans in the community.
I love that. It seems that, you have this great light and great energy, and now you're able to transfer it to others in a setting, in a university setting. So speaking of university, what do you do at Barry University? What's your role?
Yeah, so currently I am what's called a regional recruiter. I go out in the community, which now I'm doing it virtually. I'm a part of the Melbourne Regional Chamber of Commerce, just became an ambassador. I'm also a part of Brevard Public Schools, the Partners in Education, a part of FAVOB, great organization, Florida Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses. And so I go out in the community to talk to people about our programs. We have bachelor's, master's, and doctorate programs offered. Many of them online, especially with the current situation. And they go anywhere from public administration to emergency management. We have a master's online in social work, which is going to be very much needed after the coronavirus, especially because there's social workers that help even the veterans find out what their resources are after they get out of service. And we have education and many other programs to help our veterans. And that's what I do at. So at Barry University, I say veterans a lot because that's my heart, but we help all students. I'm out in the community as a recruiter, just helping people meet their goals.
Mm. And there's a great fun fact about Barry University, a trivia. Would you share that with the audience?
Yeah, so we are blessed that Shaquille O'Neal graduated from our EDD program, our doctorate in education program. And a story that I heard secondhand was that he was interviewed by someone and they asked him, what have been some of the greatest accomplishments of your life, thinking he was going to talk just about basketball. And he was like, honestly, one of them would be the fact that I graduated with my doctorate from Barry University. He was raised by a single mom who always pushed education. And he was like, this one's for mom. And so having him as one of our graduates has been awesome. But we have other great people in the community. Another fun fact that I want to share is that recently with the coronavirus, we graduated many of our nurses a year early so that they could go out into the community and be active in helping with the coronavirus situation.
Yeah, that's so important, and it's that fun fact is one of the highlights of, of our conversation for me, because I followed Shaq from when he was, in LSU and raised up. Matter of fact, I got a closet full of his rookie cards. But it's interesting how leadership, education, right? There's a marriage there that most people don't bridge. They don't put together. How important is leadership or education to leadership?
Yeah, so, in the class that I'm taking in human services, military families, we always talk about the fact that education is power. So education is power in any situation. A veteran someone who enlists in the military, very important that they know their rights and their benefits. And so a lot of people, when they join the military, they get so much information that a lot of times it's just overwhelming. But it's really important for them to stay up to date with their educational rights, because they could qualify for post 9/11 GI Bill, for the Montgomery GI Bill. There's so many different opportunities for them to pursue education that are not only beneficial for them to get a degree and say, oh, I got a bachelor's degree or I got a master's degree, but it could lead to promotions within the military. It could also lead to opportunities once they finish their terms of service and they're out in the community. It gives them a plan B with jobs. Within the classes, we incorporate leadership in the different activities. Our professors have knowledge from the field that they're teaching. So if it's emergency management, it's someone that has experience with that. And so they're getting life experience in the classroom as well as with their classmates.
Wow, great stuff. We have with you all, folks, Professor Lori Huertas from Barry University, and definitely talking a lot about education and this wonderful program. We heard about it. We would love to know more about this transformational leadership program. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so if anyone goes to our Barry website, you can see, because we actually have an explanation of it on our website. And it's basically a program that we started to encourage students from the moment they start their freshman year, which is their first year of college, to keep in mind the fact that they're being groomed to be a leader. And not only keeping that in mind, understanding philosophically, what does that mean? And so, sorry, I got to put my glasses on for this one. And so we get them to think about discernment questions, the key ones. Who am I? They discover who they are. Who are my peers? And that helps them develop empathy. How do we live in community, which deals with respect and compassion? What am I called to do, which deals with commitment? And what is my legacy going to be? How do they apply all of these leadership skills that they've learned? And legacy, I've always taught my students, is how do you want to be remembered? You know, when you're no longer with us, what do you want them to remember you on? And those are the things that you need to work on, you know, while you're alive. We also get them to look at career development, their spiritual journey, social justice, health and wellness, ethical leadership. And so those are the key components of transformational leadership.
Yeah, that's amazing. At your first point of who am I and discovery, I went back to how I started in leadership in the military, and Vince and I are both lifelong learners. We love education. We love to be educated and educate, right? That's part of our deal in our business. But the who am I is a huge question to ask, even a bigger question to answer. So not that many people know how to even get to that point to answer that question. What has been your experience in dealing with students and veterans trying to get education to guide them to that answer?
Yep. So, you know, as you know, like in the military, or when someone decides that that's possibly an option, they take a test called the ASVAB. One of the assessments that I give is the Myers-Briggs assessment. And so it's a personality assessment. I do it in a fun way where they answer honestly how they would handle certain situations. I get a 4-letter result with that, which gives me a lot of information about that person, about how they see the world, about what their natural talents are, about how they relate to others, about what feels would be a natural transition. Because if you don't like science, then you can't be telling me you want to be a doctor, you know? So it has to be something that's relevant, because even if your grandmother, your dad, everybody in your family was a doctor, but you hate science, then maybe that's not the field for you, because we need to make decisions based on how God uniquely created us, not based on what society or our family's expectations are.
Wow. That's it totally encompasses who am I, right? To the point of what you both mentioned, I think, and both Professor Huertas mentioned. I definitely love the fact of you sharing a holistic approach of leadership in your transformational leadership program. Is very beneficial to, not to your point, to the individual, but to the community. So if I'm a veteran, what are my benefits of joining this wonderful university, and how do I get a hold of you? I don't know.
So I'm sure after the video, you'll be able to see my phone number, but if you're taking notes, I'll give my number. But also my email is lhuertas@berry.edu. So that's one way to get them a hold of me. What are the benefits for veterans is the fact that Berry University, as you can see in my background, we have a flag. We are veteran friendly. Our Melbourne campus is actually minutes away from the Air Force Base. So we have many veterans that are currently attending. The other great thing is that a lot of our professors are veterans. And so a lot of our leaders are veterans. And so we have an Office of Veteran Affairs where they can guide the students on their benefits, talk about educational assistance programs based on their military service. We can look at their JST, which JST stands for Joint Services Transcript. And what that transcript is and this is something I encourage every veteran to pull, because it's free for you to get this. And you can get it online. It shows all of the trainings that you did while in the military. And the nice thing is that our university can look at that, especially for our bachelor's programs. We have a portfolio program where students can receive up to, not guaranteed, but up to 90 credits. And within those 90 credits, it could be trainings that you did in the military. It could be life experience. It could be certifications. Like I heard Enrique say something about John Maxwell. Like if you have proof of trainings that you've did, as long as you justify it, we could submit that for you to get credit for your portfolio. What that does for the student saves time and money. And so you're in an environment where Barry University just really cares. We care about our students and we treat everyone like family.
Yeah, the family aspect of care and in the environment that we're in today, right? So instrumental, so critical. The living in community, like the third thing that you say, how do we live in community, is something that's ingrained in all military service, right? They're encouraged to go out into the community. They do cleanups, they do house buildings, repair. They gather together and clean and build parks for kids. So community is ingrained into the military service person. And so, the respect and compassion piece really brings out a lot of good memories in service. And I'm sure Vince can probably attest to the same while he was in and volunteering and going out into the community. He does that a little, but I just want to ask, in terms of respect and compassion, why is that so ingrained into the program?
Yeah, so Barry University, sorry, I'm like putting my glasses on and off. This is when you get older, your eyes go. Barry University was actually started in 1940. A lot of people don't know this, but we were started by nuns. Nuns that a lot of them admired Mother Teresa, which at the heart of Mother Teresa is compassion. Right. And Mother Teresa always says, if you judge people, you have no time to love them. And I feel like that's very profound because no one is perfect, but everyone deserves to be loved. And so keeping that in mind in the area of compassion and respect, I think is vital. And it's part of Barry University's foundation in making sure that our students are equipped to be the leaders that can make a difference in the community. And so my goal as a recruiter is not just to get students to come to Barry University, is for them to stay, to get their needs met. We're talking about starting a student veteran association on my campus. We have one in Miami that will be able to allow them to express their needs so that we can make sure that we respect them and thank them for their service.
Wow. I mean, I love the foundational values that you just shared. I did not know that 1940 started and had a lot to do with the nuns and compassion related to Mother Teresa. That's great, because I think, as leaders, we often look at our accolades as we have on a piece of paper, really our resume, right? But our really holistic resume involves the community, involves really helping others, service before self, servant leadership. And I'm very curious, what do you see as any challenges that leaders have that this program will get them to become better at before they become a leader? Is there anything specifically that you can share? Any nuggets, any recipes?
Yeah, so I think challenges that everybody is going through right now is having a growth mindset. And I think with this situation that we're all going through, where we're being quarantined, it has taken people out of their comfort zone. And so one of the areas that Barry University's programs can help you is getting you comfortable with getting out of your comfort zone and being resilient and able to adapt. Because the truth is that we can only control ourselves. We can't control what's going to happen every day. There can be situations unexpected. And how are you going to deal with those situations? And so by having the different quality traits that you learn as a leader, as far as knowing who you are, being empathetic with others, having respect and compassion, committing to what you're going to do. I started this and I'm going to finish it. And then applying it. How can I take what I've learned to help others in the community? I think is a way for us to make a global impact. And I think this situation with the quarantine, if we look at it through lens of positivity, we can actually see how this can be a way for our community to get closer and to leave a better legacy for our kids and grandkids now.
Yes, yes. I was just about to ask you about legacy because it's so important, and I think in the core of being human, we all want to be remembered for something, right? And I used to tell my sailors, no one wakes up and says, how can I mess up this world today, right? No one does, right? And it is, especially when it deals with leadership. I spoke about this in a different forum. Legacy is way past what you can say and what you can do. It is what you allow people to feel through your leadership, right? If you made them feel something that was not good, then guess what? Your legacy will be. But if you can really hone into the very best of you and give the very best every day to your people, your legacy will be something you can smile at the end. And so I'm happy to see that legacy is part of the transformational leadership development program, because it is really transformational. It requires you to be something greater than yourself. And the hardest thing we could ever do is try to see beyond what we can see. Normally it's someone else that tells us how great we are, right? Or how great we can be. I want to let Vince just talk a little bit about his experience and the transformation, because we see it. We see it as we grow in the military. But it's even more powerful when we see it from our sailors, our airmen, right? Our soldiers in regards to the Army. But yeah, just a little bit about that, Vince, if you don't.
Yeah, well, I mean, we always evolving, and we all, to Enrique's point early on, we talk about being life learners, and tying it into, who am I? That question, it's really evolves, right? 10 years ago, I was a probably different who am I than I am today. And based on what's in front of me, based on my experiences, based on a plethora of different things. But we all have to understand who really the grounding of our values. Our values really dictates the direction of our North Star. I was fortunate to have a opportunity to join a coaching program. It was a little different, John Maxwell, which through the Georgetown coaching program, and really powerful questions to really look within, right? Talk about introspection. The value of listening was so important for me, not to listen to respond, listen to understand. So important to have those levels of understanding of self before you interject what you need to do within the world. To your point, Professor Huertas, you have in this area, in this day and time of chaos, you have to be cool, calm, and collective. I have to understand that the value we bring ourselves really translate to the value of others. So it's very important. And talk about values, I was curious about you. I mean, like, what motivates Lori? I was Professor Huertas. I was like, what's her motivation? So that's why I would love to ask that question. What's your motivation?
I gotta honestly say that right now I have as a screensaver on my phone the picture of my new grandson, and that is my motivation. I want him to be proud of his abuela. I want him one day to go to college and say, I want to go to college just like my dad and my abuela, and I want to make a difference. I want to help others.
Yeah, that's very powerful. That right there is legacy, right? What we were just talking about, and that grandchild will be so blessed to be able to look into the history, right? Where that educational foundation came from, and so I know that just warms your heart to just even think of that, and so. If service members, if veterans are looking to join into this program, what's their availability? What's their opportunity look like here in the near future?
Yeah, and so I would encourage everyone to email me, and I know I gave my email earlier, and it'll be available on the podcast. Besides that, contacting me, I will be able to look at the unique individual, because this isn't really a cookie cutter program. I need to find out what's best for the person I'm speaking with. And so I need to, as Vince wisely pointed out, I need to listen. So I need to listen and see who am I speaking with? What are their goals? What do they want to achieve? What are their short-term goals? What are their long-term goals? So that I can really recommend the program that's right for them.
And the next program is rolling out.
Yep. So we have summer classes starting May 11th. So
Okay.
still in time to start for summer. Due to the current situation, our summer classes will be online. And then after that, decisions will be made based on what's going on right now with the coronavirus. But we will have online classes in the summer, so plenty of time for students to apply. I actually have an application waiver during this time. And so there's no application fee. It would just be the process of getting the documents that are needed in order for them to see if they're accepted and get them registered so they could start taking classes and meet other veterans, other classmates.
Folks, you heard it first. No application fees to go ahead and be part of this wonderful, illustrious university, Barry University. And you can contact her by email, which is lhuertas@barry.edu.
That's a great cap to that application process, and so grateful that Barry University has made that available. I know that these times are different, and you had spoke about being able to modify what you do at a moment's call as a leader, right? Being able to adapt, and so obviously Barry University is showing that right in the forefront, and so we're appreciative. Thank you, Professor Huertas, for being with us today, and our audience, thank you for joining us. We're so excited to continue to have guest speakers with us, and stand by for the future speakers to come. But I would like to leave Vince to close it all out, and we're just happy to have had you.
Thank you.
I second that, Enrique. Professor Huertas, you definitely have the passion, underlying positive attitude, as you mentioned, the positivity, through those lenses. I salute you, because, you are the person to raise that soldier and raise future individuals in that circle, military or holistic approach in the community. So thank you very much from the bottom of our heart for that. And as Enrique mentioned, tune in next week. We're going to be talking about actually question 2. What do you feel you need to improve in your leadership arena, which is a perfect thing. We gave you some recipes of a foundational aspect of education, but here Enrique and I will talk about what do you need to improve. And the 5 things are listening, patience, communication, time management, and not being a know-it-all, right? Because we always a life learner. So tune in on April 22nd, and we'll definitely talk a little bit about that. So thank you so much.